Hey guys, Fur Daddy here. Today I'm going to be going over Eureka. This video is going to be split into two parts. The first part is going to be unlocking Eureka and the basics of the system of Eureka, the mechanics of it and things like that, as well as getting all the way to the second zone of Eureka. And then the second video is going to be actually unlocking all of the like shiny glamour and stuff like that, as well as some of the more difficult and unintuitive mechanics of the later zones. So buckle up, this is going to be a long video. I know I usually say the video is going to be short. This one's going to be long. I'm going to do my best to stick to the point and be clear about it, but yeah. So settle in and enjoy. Okay, so the first part of this video is why should you actually do Eureka? Like, what's the point of doing it now? It's like 5.5, and Walker's in a couple months, and that's actually exactly the reason why. Eureka has been nerfed, you have the Echo, and a lot of the requirements for items have been reduced from the original requirements to get them. It's a lot less grindy. It's actually like less grindy than Boja and Zadnor, I would say. So it's easier than ever, and you can get all these items that I'm showing here from Eureka as well. So it's really worth it to do. You get some of the coolest mounts and some of the coolest armor in the game. It's definitely worth to do it just for the glamour alone and the money making. In my money making video, which I posted last week, you can see some of the ways you can make money from Eureka, as well as the final raid in Eureka can make you about $1 mil every time you do it. So it's definitely worth it. So let's get into the actual guide. So while I'm heading to the Calamity Salvager here, we can go over some of the requirements that you need for Eureka. So one of the things you're going to need from Eureka is actually to complete Stormblood. You need to complete all of Stormblood. You don't need to have done Shadowbringers, but you should do Shadowbringers, just completely unrelated to this video. So what you need to also complete is your level 70 job quest, because you need to be able to have unlocked your 70 job weapon. All of the upgrades in Eureka are tied to your job weapon, so you upgrade that all the way to the end, and getting it to a certain point is how you get like the glowing armor that I'm wearing right now. So yeah, if you don't have that weapon, but you've completed the quest, you can talk to the Calamity Salvager in any major city. Here's the one in New Gridania. And you can get your job-specific gear right here. So your level 70 arms, and you'll have your antiquated weapons here, which you can use to upgrade. So once you have that, the next thing you're going to want to do is actually complete the Eureka quest. So you pick up the Eureka quest in Rhalgr's Reach, and you can see where I'm going to talk to the person here. Speak to her, and that will start the quest. And after that, you can head to Kugane and speak to Kotokaze, and then from there simply go to the Pier 1 dock, and that is where you actually start to go to Eureka. So that's all you really have to do to unlock Eureka. It's pretty easy. So with all that put away, let's actually get into Eureka itself. Okay, so welcome to the primer for Eureka. I'm going to go over some basic facts about Eureka, as well as some tips that may be a little bit devoid of context, but these are very helpful pieces of information to understand going into Eureka. So first of all, what Eureka actually is. Eureka is a expedition style map in similarity to Boja or Zadnor. Basically that means it's a bunch of different zones, and there's no real quest line besides like the quest line that there is. Everything is given through, you just need to talk to people and learn from other players on what to do. So that's why this guide is hopefully going to be useful to you, because they don't actually give you a lot of direction as far as where you need to go for the quests or things like that. So it's a very free form, free roam, and very grindy kind of aspect of the game. So it tailors to certain people. I certainly really enjoy it. Hopefully you guys like it as well. So with that in mind, yeah. Some basics that, yeah, might be a little devoid of context, but you're going to need to understand this stuff going in, and a lot of guides don't have this information. So you can complete this as any job. So you can have your weapon that you want to upgrade, but you don't have to actually do that job when you're in Eureka. You can change jobs. Any job over level 70 can participate in Eureka, except Blue Mage. You begin at Elemental level 1. So in Eureka, you're going to be capped at 70 and have all your level 70 job abilities, but you actually start at level 1. What that means is you'll see that there's enemies that scale all the way from 1 to 60, and that is your elemental level. So enemies have an elemental affinity. That means that that's a strength or weakness that you can use to do extra damage and take less damage from them using a new mechanic in Eureka called the Magia Board. The Magia Board is something that uses 5 pieces of magicite that you obtain throughout Eureka to target damage to an enemy's elemental affinity. And I'll show you how it works here. Okay, so this is your Magia board. Every enemy, as you can see, the squib is level 1. They have an element that corresponds with them, and that's water. So what that means is that if I have my Magia here, you'll get these upon doing the quests, aligned to be defensive towards them, I would like take less damage from them in the area. And if I was to set it to offensive, you'll see here, I would be able to do more damage to them. Now, if you have them set up, you can actually right-click and set your Magia board to offensive, or right-click and set your Magia board to defensive, and that allows you to do more or less damage. Now, what you typically want to do is set just like 5 all in one spot, but why I have it set up like this is because it's actually diminishing returns when you put more points into it. So a popular one that people do a little bit later in the game is they'll have 3 and 2 set up like this. Now, as you can see, because I've changed my Magia board so much, it's depleted, and I actually can't change it anymore, see? So to replenish that, I just go to the Magia melder here, and that will replenish all of it. It also regenerates very slowly over time. So that is the Magia board. Another thing that you should know is that you can use the return command to quickly get to base camp. This is really useful if you're doing a dangerous quest or if you're just in a dangerous area in general. You can use return on a 15-minute cooldown to be able to get back to base camp very quickly, which can be useful for navigating the world. The next piece of important information is that respawning drains your elemental level. So if you die, you have to use shout chat and wait for a res, or you will lose very, very valuable XP. You lose a lot. It's a lot worse than Boja. You don't lose it automatically on dying, so in that sense it's better, but it's worse because if you respawn, you lose an absolute crap ton. The next thing you should know is that you should be doing everything in Eureka as a group. This makes survivability way easier, and you can get credit for killing higher level bosses, which is very important for progression. So always be looking for a group. They're always saying stuff in shout chat, looking for a group every time something spawns in. If somebody calls out an elemental, you should go there because elementals give you a damage buff and an XP bonus. In addition, you can use potions of harmony, which are obtainable off the market board, to further increase the XP that you get. So I want to touch briefly as well on the challenge log and just some weird nomenclature that they use. So you will see very straightforward things in your challenge log for Eureka, which I'll get into in a second, but like different elements. But there are also sprites and ashkin. And sprites are certain enemies that spawn under certain weather conditions, and ashkin are enemies that only spawn at night. The maps that I'll provide to Eureka later on will help you out with that as well. So with all of those primer informations in mind, we can actually enter Eureka and start to level up. So the very first thing you want to do when you get to Eureka is begin accepting all the quests in the area. So Kryl will have a quest for you, and there'll also be a lot of other quests in the immediate area. So accept all those, and then once you have all those accepted, you can begin working on your challenge log. How to get to your challenge log, if you're not aware, just go to logs on the bottom right of the screen and click on challenge log. You can bring that right up. So Eureka has its own category there, and completing all of these is vital. These scale to your level, so as you level up, you get more and more XP from doing them, but it also becomes less and less important for leveling up, because you get more XP from killing Notorious Monsters at later levels. So it's very useful to just complete this now, and that should get you to the first area. So again, you should be using a party to do this. You should be looking in shout chat for a party to find people to complete your challenge log. And there are basically always parties doing things. You can just say looking for group, low level, challenge log, or something like that. You should keep in mind that there is a formula for XP gain when you're in a party, and if there are people in the party that are more than 2 levels above you, you will start to get far less XP. So try to be in a party with people that are around the same level as you, unless you're killing Notorious Monsters. So with this in mind, you should be able to quickly get around to level 7, 8, or 9, and then we can move on to the next step. So before we move on, I just want to touch on the quests in the area. So I'll put this on screen right now, but in the description I'll post a link to all of the maps for the different zones, and the maps to the different zones correspond to, they'll show you where the monsters spawn, they'll show you where the quests are for the area, so those are very, very useful to use. In addition to that, going into this next part of the guide, you're going to want to be familiar with the Eureka website. So that also has a link in the description. The Eureka website shows you when Notorious Monsters, which again I'll get into in a second, spawn, and as well as providing just a lot of useful advice. So you should use that website as much as possible. It's very, very useful. So once you get to this point, we can move on. So congratulations on completing your challenge log. Once you're level 9, you can attune to the Aetheryte in the area to get around faster, and that is essential while doing Notorious Monsters. If some areas are a little bit too dangerous to get to, you can always attune to them when you first travel to the area for a Notorious Monster. So NM, or Notorious Monster, are fates with boss enemies. If you do ones of a similar level to you or lower, you can get crystals, which you need to level your weapon up. You also obtain lockboxes, which serve as your loot from the area, and you can exchange them right here. So every Notorious Monster has a monster that corresponds to them. If someone posts a quote-unquote tracker link, you can see which monsters have already been summoned this way on the Final Fantasy Eureka website, and which ones can still be summoned. You can also create your own tracker and keep track of it on the website. Once a Notorious Monster pops, they typically call it in chat or call a pull time. The very first thing you should do is find a party and try and safely make your way to the location. Now, a big part of learning about Eureka is learning about the safe paths you can take around monsters. Monsters have a lower aggro range than Boja, but they can definitely still mess you up if you get into their area. There are also separate conditions which can make enemies aggro on you, but that won't apply to this first area, and I'll be touching on that in the second part of this video anyways. So, once a Notorious Monster is called, the very first thing you should try to do, so find that party. And another safe way you can travel if you find a party is travel in a train with other people, like just walking behind them. Remember that higher level party members will not aggro monsters that are a far lower level than them, but you will, so keep that in mind. Notorious Monsters are your bread and butter for leveling up. It's worth doing these all the time, even if they're a higher level and you won't get the crystals from them, and not just waiting for your challenge log every week. It is essential to kill Notorious Monsters and to obtain crystals for leveling your weapon up. So be doing that, Notorious Monsters. This is the grindy part of it, is waiting for those to spawn. Once you're a little bit of a higher level, you can spawn in these monsters by killing the corresponding enemy that it says on the Final Fantasy Logs website. Parties will get together called prep parties, and those are parties that prepare the Notorious Monster fates. So you can join those, and that can also give you a pretty good amount of XP if you are around the same level as those monsters. So finally, with the Notorious Monsters away, we can get to upgrading your weapon. Upgrading your weapon is really essential even if you don't want the weapon and you just want the armor. That's because the weapon is what gates the content. So you'll need to complete your weapon completely for the first 2 zones to be able to get the armor later on in the game. He'll ignore you completely if you don't do that. So to upgrade your armor in the area, you will need a total of 1,300 Protean crystals, 150 Anemos crystals, and 5 Pazuzu feathers, which is 2 and a little bit completions of the Fate Pazuzu. You can exchange the Anemos crystals at Geralt for Protean crystals at a very significant rate. He'll also show you armor. That's totally different than the Eureka armor. But yeah. So once you're doing this, you'll hopefully be progressing and eventually get up to level 18 and unlock Eureka Pagos. You should not enter Eureka Pagos before you're finished your weapon, and you should probably be over level 20. The best thing to do would be to wait till you're level 22 or 23 so that you can actually begin to do the Notorious Monsters in the area, but you can do whatever you want there. So a good way to level up in the first zone is to just complete the Pazuzu Notorious Monster until you can upgrade your weapon. Although if you are leveled up and you haven't been lucky enough to have that fate spawn, you can also get the Pazuzu feathers from the Expedition Birdwatcher here. And so with that in mind, that's everything you need to know about the first Eureka zone and the basics to the mechanics of Eureka. There are some pretty advanced mechanics that we'll get into in the second part of this video, but I just want to familiarize yourself with the area and give you a task to do. So I'll be posting the next video about Eureka later on. It's not going to be a full week. It'll probably just be a couple days. So in the meantime, you guys can work on getting through this first zone in Eureka, farming Notorious Monsters, completing your challenge log, and getting to like level 20 or 22. The next video, I'm going to cover the rest of Eureka, so it'll be longer than this one, but this one is just an introduction into getting it unlocked and what to do. So hopefully this guide was a little concise and gave you the information that you need. Please leave comments of any questions that you guys have, as well as your experiences in Eureka, because I'll be touching on those in the next video. I'm going to release this one and give it a couple days, and then record the next one once I have some feedback from you guys on what you need to know. So with that in mind, good luck in Eureka, guys.
Hey guys, this is editing for Daddy, just recording the outro to this video. Sorry if I sound a little sick, but yeah, I just wanted to remind you guys to subscribe for the second part of this guide that's coming out in the next few days here as soon as I'm feeling better, as well as to join us on the Discord and to hit me up in World. Thanks for everybody who asked me in Eureka if I was doing a Eureka video. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I was, so. Alright, subscribe, leave a comment with your thoughts on the video, and stay tuned for the next part. Alright, see you guys later.